Hopefully this doesn't look terrifying, what we're gonna do.
No, I think it actually helps simplify it to see where the tape goes over the battery and the LEDs and the
Yeah.
completion of a circuit.
Then you have this little foam tape everywhere. This tape is not quite the right height, the white one. So I use this because I've used this before. It's like just the right height to hold the copper tape above the battery, and so when you press it, it'll turn on. Love it. Venus smiling. Everybody's excited. I appreciate you guys being here at the end of the workday to learn something new, like the last time that you want to learn something new. But I appreciate you being here for that. We're gonna make this little guy, and then you need to hold his hand to get him to light up. It's kind of like a little COVID vacation because you get to hold somebody's hand, even if it's a cartoon bird. So yeah, that's why I did it like that. This is how it's gonna look when it's all done. Before we put the border, slip the border on, and then we'll slip the front on, and it will kind of stand up off the card a little bit. And that's so the tape won't be pushed against the battery unless you push it. So it's got to be kind of raised up a little. So that's why you have so much foam tape. Well, I can always go over this first part again. I just want to make sure we know what we're trying to build. So to make something light up, we have to know the basics of a circuit. So I'm just gonna show you a couple quick things here. Everyone's got LEDs and everyone's got batteries. That's basically what we need. We got an LED and it has a positive side and a negative side. And the battery also has a positive and negative, right? And then we just have to connect them. So circuit sounds like circle for a reason. The positive side kind of starts the flow and then it goes around through the LED and back to the negative. And that's when the light lights up. So you have to have a complete circle for it to work. Round and round and round, forever and ever and ever. The problem with going around forever and ever is eventually your battery's going to die, right? So we are going to add one more thing to this circuit. We're going to add a switch. So there's a question for you guys. Just thought experiment. Do we think the energy will leave the battery, go through the LED, and then stop at the switch? Or would it just not leave the battery at all? Carol's like, I know this.
No, I don't. I should know.
What do you guys think? Lily, what do you think?
Lily? Will the energy stay in the battery? Probably not.
You think it goes away? So that's totally cool because that's what I thought too. So I thought the energy would just stop at the switch. But actually, electricity is a weird thing. It's like not a thing. It's an event. It's either happening or it's just not happening. So there's no like halfway. So the electricity won't leave the battery unless it knows it can get all the way back around to the negative. So with this copper tape, we have to be really careful to give it that unbroken path. Hopefully, I gave everybody an extra piece of tape in case it rips. So you can do that part again, but I can also show you how to patch it. So we're going to be really delicate with the tape. And I'm just going to say, I've taught these classes, paper circuit classes a lot, but I've never taught one with 2 LEDs. This is going to be new. So it's a little bit more complex than usual. So we're just going to have to be really patient with the copper tape and with the LEDs. So I gave you an extra of both of those. And with ourselves, especially. So we'll take our time, But you want that unbroken path. So then when you close the circuit, it can go all the way around. But otherwise, nothing's happening.
So are you going to say whether it's a serial or parallel circuit or something?
This is going to be a parallel circuit because we're actually going to have 2 LEDs. But we're still going to line it up the same way. all the positives on one side, all the negatives on one side. That's how that's going to go. And when you look at your LEDs, so look really close at them. Hopefully you guys can all see this. So crazy words, anode positive, cathode negative. What matters about this picture is the LED has a negative and positive side, and we have to be sure that the metal piece, this leg here, these little legs, like there and there, the leg has to touch the right side of the tape. So we're going to have one side of our copper, that's the positive side, one side that's the negative side, and then the LEDs will bridge them. So your positive leg has to be on the positive copper side. It will make sense when I show it to you. But just so you can tell which is which, this larger piece inside, that's the negative. So when you look at your LED, can you see that larger metal piece inside? Yeah? Oh, good. Yeah. Okay. I know it's tiny, so make sure. Eileen, do you see how there's a larger piece on the one side? It is tough to see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Isn't it also that the shorter leg is connected with a larger piece?
Yes, the shorter leg is always the negative, so that's with the larger piece.
Right. Okay.
But once we open the leads and like spread them out from each other, so they won't touch at all, because you don't want them to touch and cross. It's hard to tell which leg is longer, so that's why I like the fact that you can tell from looking inside. Oh, so you guys could test your LEDs. So that positive longer leg, the negative shorter leg, and the larger piece of metal inside there. Your battery has a positive side that's marked. The coin cell battery says positive. So put the longer leg along that and then kind of sandwich it in. So the negative side is on the negative side of the battery. And you're basically creating that circuit. So you guys can try that. Make sure your LEDs work and your battery works. You should. And everybody has 3 LEDs just in case, because when we move the legs around, sometimes they'll snap off. So I want to make sure everybody had an extra in case. But yeah, you want to put the battery just right in between the 2 leads and make sure you have the larger piece, the cathode piece, on the negative side of the battery. This is our like copper tape warning. This is what I was kind of already saying about the copper tape. It's really cool because it's so flat and conductive and everything, and you peel it and stick it on. You can also solder stuff to it to get a really good feel on it, to get really good connection. But we're just going to tape stuff down really, really hard. Really good. But as it says, you need a continuous line. So you have to get creative about the corners. I'm going to show you how to do corners. And the adhesive side is not conductive. So you got to be really careful that you don't end up breaking the chain by using the non-adhesive part to attach to something. That part's not going to be conductive. And it can give you a paper cut. So be careful of that too.
Can I ask, like, is there a positive and negative to this that strip, the copper strip?
No, we're
Oh,
gonna.
it's just like a wire. It's conductive. Duh. There's no positive or negative, right?
Yep, it's like a wire.
Okay.
It's just that it's only conductive on the shiny side, so we have to be
Oh,
a little bit creative about how we attach everything. I think they do make copper tape that's conductive on both. It's probably a lot more expensive. I don't have it. As long as all our LEDs work and we can see which side is negative, we can actually get started. And this picture I have of the fold, it's okay, but it's way easier if I show it to you in motion. So I mentioned the folds are going to be a little difficult because you have to have the shiny side touch the shiny side. So because of that, you have to do a little special corner fold where you flip it over. So I'm going to show you guys about that. So I'm pretending this fabric is the tape, and I'm saying like you have to get the back. You can really tell which is the back of this fabric, and that part is not conductive. So That's why when we do a corner, we have to basically fold the tape back the way it came at the corner there. So it's gonna go boop like that. Oh, I did boop again, Carol. Now you're in my head. So yeah, it goes back on itself so that you're having the shiny side touch the shiny side, conductive to conductive, and then it flips over and around itself. And then you just kind of seal it down. So that way it's a continuous line, even though it's a corner. So you can't, like break it off and then just tape it over or anything like that. Let me show you guys that again. So yeah, when you get to a corner, which we're going to practice right now, just fold it back the way it came. And you'll see that on your worksheet, it's marked A, to fold back the way it came, conductive side to conductive side. And then kind of crease that and then go on a diagonal. You kind of can crease that with your fingernail on the actual tape and go flip.
You just did a miter for sewing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a miter joint. Yeah. Oh, so you do it when you're sewing too?
That's exactly the miter stitch. Yeah, you do that exactly like that. I never understood it till now. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so you won't end up with the wrong side facing out. And it works for the tape too. Okay. So now we're going to try it. I'm going to suggest, because the tape is really thin and finicky and it wants to crunch up on itself. So we're going to do all of the corners and everything first with the backing on, because then you can just gently remove the backing and it will kind of fall back into place because you've already folded it and kind of taught it which way to go. So I discovered that was the easier way to get this right. So we're going to leave the backing on. Everyone's going to grab their smaller piece. So we're going to do the smaller piece, which I think is the negative side first. Let's see. Everyone's got this worksheet that's going to be like our actual card, right? So it has short piece on the top and start here. And then on the back, it has how to do the LEDs. So we're going to go back into that when we get to that part. Okay. So
I'm sorry. Do these instructions come with the kit?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a worksheet. Basically, you're just going to follow this like a map and just fill it in with the tape and the LEDs and the actual battery and all that. So it looks just like how to look when it's 3D. Just right now it's 2D. It's just printed colors. So we're going to start with the tape here, and then we're going to fold it back on itself. And then we'll go back and create that little miter and flip it over and around. So I'm just going to show that. But yeah, this is going to be your card, and then you just put the pretty card that you color on top of it. And I discovered that was the easiest way to make sure everything lines up. I'm going to get my short piece. Okay, short piece, negative. So you can see that's the negative side of the battery, the negative side of the LED, I mean, that's the larger metal piece there. So I got to my corner, I flip it back on itself, just straight back the way it came. And those are always marked with an A on there. And then when I got to B, you see there's diagonal lines. I'm just kind of crease that with my fingernail, my finger, and then just flip it over and around just like the fabric. And I think I show it again. You guys can try it. There's only one corner on this one, so that's why it's a good one to start with. So yeah, so get it down, flip it back, and over and around. And then just push it down nice so it's nice and flat, and you know those copper conductive pieces are really touching each other. Nice and smooth. Yeah, that's how it will look. You guys try that and show me what you get. You can hold it up to the camera. Make sure you get that miter corner. Oh, I'm showing it again. I took a lot of angles of this. It's hard to see because it's so small. So
That's very helpful, actually.
yeah, does it make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a kit in front of me, but I think I could do it.
Yeah. And then taking the tape off. So it's hard to get off. If you don't have fingernails, it's going to be more difficult, but just get a little bit off the end and you can start putting it down. I wouldn't pull it all off at once because, like I said, it wants to crunch up on itself and get all tangled. So I'm just sort of pulling it off slowly as I go. And if I'm gentle enough with it, it will keep that corner. See that? Kind of wants to snap back into the corner. So I don't have to even do anything. Just kind of lay it back down and gently pull the tape off. So that's what we're going for. But if we mess up, we have extra. Doesn't need to be perfectly straight as long as it goes under where the battery's going to be right there. That circle, that's where the battery's going to be. Yeah. Nice and smooth.
I have a question. Like, technically, if you cut it with the scissors, oh, how's it gonna touch? I got it.
On the corner. Yeah.
Hey, could you? Sorry. Could you if you cut the copper strip in half, and then take a little piece and put it so it's like right sides together, connecting both pieces, would that work?
Yeah. I did. I have a video of that too. I'm going to show you. Because it took me a minute to figure out how to do that, because that's when if it breaks, you can do it like that.
Oh my God, you're like amazing. Let me shut up. Am I on mute?
Did
You
you guys
know what it's like to go to a hackerspace and they don't break it down like this for you.
part? Let's go to the positive part, yeah? So there's two parts. I have two videos for the positive part. Okay. The positive side is a little bit weird because we're gonna make a flap. So I didn't show you guys that yet. But we'll start at this end here where it says long piece positive. And I would do it still without taking the backing off, because again, you're gonna do two corners here and it would love to crunch up on itself. So I'm gonna fold it back the way it came and then flip over to make that miter. And you can see mine's not perfect either. As long as you're getting shiny side to shiny side contact, you're good. So, up and over. Like that. Christina, what do you think? Can you get it to do that?
Yeah, I got that done on mine. I just messed hers up. We're trying again, though.
You do that one again? Okay. And then when we remove the backing on this one, I'm going to suggest you actually leave it on for this part, the flap, because the flap, goes up and down. So I want it to be really strong. So I'm going to actually leave the backing on that part. But yeah, I'm just showing this part again. Unless you guys already all did this and you're like, yeah, I got this. Which is awesome. I think Eileen's working on it.
What part is the flap?
It's where you see a number 1 and a number 2. That's going to be the flap. So we're going to do something different to make that, which is just folding it underneath itself. So once you got the corners done, you're going to do something a little bit different. Are your corners all set?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. You guys are great then. All right, let's look at this flap. I messed with this flap a lot. I think I have conquered the flap. So you see it says 2 and 1 there, and there's a little arrow that just says fold the copper tape to point 2. So you just fold it back and then underneath itself to make a little flap. So that's going to be your flap, just like that. And because that part is going to be moving a little bit, going up and down over the battery, that's why I wouldn't take the backing off that part. And also, when you try to fold it on itself while it's sticky, it really doesn't want to help you out. It doesn't want to be nice at all. So yeah, at that number 2 point, just around there, just tuck it underneath. And then you could always add tape over top of this part. Just make sure you don't get any tape up here because you need the metal leads to be right against that copper, that shiny copper. So you don't want to block it with tape. So yeah, up and under. And then I think, let's go forward. See that? That's gonna go like that. But when we take the backing off, again, I took it off a little bit at a time. So I'm taking the backing off slowly, then doing the whole folding back, folding over. But honestly, again, if you're really gentle with it, it will kind of go back into where it was. It wants to go where it's already folded. So I just redid that fold real quick and then tugged the bottom out. Yes. I was happy with that. I did it again in slow motion. The slow motion of that. So just redo your fold and then lightly tug that out, and it just goes right where you want it to go. And it's so agreeable. And it's not perfect again, but it's okay.
What's that?
Of course, I'm saying it's agreeable, and I know it doesn't want to be. It's generally not. So that's where I stopped, and I'm just cut that part. I cut that part of the backing off so I could leave it on for the flap. If the backing all comes off and you're able to make the flap, that's okay. But it'll look like that altogether. I was just trying to show all different angles. Cut that tape off. However, you can see the backing on there really doesn't want to stay on. But it doesn't really matter because once you add that tape right here, that like foam tape, it's going to have something to rest against and it's going to keep it in place. So if the backing wants to come off, you could always take a little bit of it off just to tack the two sides together. But in the long run, it's going to be all right if they're a little bit separated, as long as they're going to go right across that battery. So this one, I put some tape on top, as long as I don't touch the other piece there. And this one, I think here I did that. I took a little bit of the backing off just so I could really get it to stick. I wasn't happy with it. Yeah.
Make a flap, so we cut it.
Yeah.
Can you get that copper tape at like Michael's?
I don't know. They might have it. So this is where I wasn't happy with it. So I'm taking a little tiny bit of the backing off, fold it up, and tack it down. Just to make it like more of a closed loop like that. But really, once you add this tape like this, that's gonna hold it in place. So I just wanted to show that up close. Show that it's not gonna be a problem once you have that. It's gonna kind of bolster it and hold it up. And that's how the battery should be plus side up. Put a little plus on there. And then we'll just lay across those two tapes. Beautiful. Okay, dokie. Now we're gonna add the tape. You guys ready for adding tape? Christina, ready? I feel like we lost Eileen. She had to go get. I should have said in the beginning. You guys have your Scotch tape and your scissors and your glue. You don't need glue till the very end, but I just kept messing with this one, trying to get it to balance correctly. There we go. That's what we want to happen. And you can see on this one, I did a trick where I sort of curled up the legs a little bit on the one side, just so I could tell which side was positive. Because like Eileen, you guys were saying that it's hard to tell once you separate those. But yeah, this is the goal. So let's put some tape on and battery.
Jesse, there's a company called Bead Landing at Michael's that sells copper tape, but I don't know if it's the same stuff that you have.
Say conductive on it.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, the words conductive, and so far I'm not actually seeing that.
So I did this for you guys already. To like sandwich these two pieces of tape together, and then I cut them in half. Just conserving library resources is all that that is. So everybody has those two already. So you're gonna take the sticky stuff off one side of it and just tuck it in by the battery. And I probably shouldn't have got that up there. I don't want it to overlap this copper. I overlapped it a little bit. So I'll have to make sure when I put my leads in, they don't just go on top of that thing. But I don't think they would anyway, because they're pretty small. So you can see I put this one lower. But that holds it a little bit. That'll hold it a little bit. I'm trimming again. I'm being perfectionist about that thing. In the worksheet, you can see there's like a piece of tape on top of the battery also. There's two pieces of tape, but you just got to make sure that you leave the middle open because that flap, that copper needs to touch the battery. So I'm just going to put it in the proper spot and then put tape on the top and bottom, but not in the middle. So you just want to leave that middle open like that. And there's a couple of things happening here now too. You can see I got some tape up there. And I'm trying to show in like with the LED, make sure you don't put the tape down because you need that LED metal leg to really touch that shiny copper. So you don't want to push that tape down yet until you add your LEDs. I'm just playing with that. But then we're going to add our LEDs. And then we can stop worrying about that.
Did you give us the tape to put over the battery?
No, I did not give any guys tape. But you could use any tape. Actually, I did a bunch of them with like blue tape or masking tape because it's easier to see where it is. Yeah, you just need tape, and you only need scissors just to cut off the bottom of the card because there's a little bit of extra paper on the bottom. And then glue is for the borders. Yeah, you have tape. Good. Thank you. Yeah, I should have said that in the beginning. That everybody needs tape. Yeah, and I didn't take the top off these foam tapes here because I didn't want them sticking to the copper too much and like messing with it, causing it to tear. The flap that has enough just gravity on its own. So yeah, you just want to leave that middle part open. The LEDs will take a little bit of finesse because the legs are delicate, so they can snap off. But that's why I made little separate directions for those on your card. So the back of your card is about how to attach the LEDs, which I think is kind of funny because if you give somebody this card, they'll learn about how to use LEDs to make paper cards. But hey, it's a bonus. So you got your LED, you can see the negative side with that bigger part in the middle, and obviously the shorter leg. But it is harder to see because these are not white because it's red, but I can sort of see that bigger piece in there. So especially on the little area where they're like flat right there, they like to snap. So just be very gentle and just push that negative lead out and up so you get a 90-degree angle. Just like that. And then you can do the other one. Push that one. I would hold the LED so that got a good grip on it. Just gently do that. It doesn't need to be perfect. This is where it gets trickier. Once you have them both separated, then you got to bend them to line up with the copper. So make sure your negative, your larger piece, is on the same side as the top of the copper. And hold it down against your paper and then pull it, make a corner. Let's look at that again from a different angle here. So, oh, you can see here how the leg is sticking out and it's not contacting the copper tape as much. That can be a problem. So you'll want to bend it a little bit more so it actually stays, because the more the leg touches the copper tape, the better it's going to conduct electricity. So you want maximum LED leg.
You can't put tape over that little leg, right? Because that'll ruin the conduction.
You put tape over it. Just don't put any tape under it, because you want it to really lay flat against that copper. And then you put tape over it to keep it flat and nice and down against the copper. As long as you don't get in between them. This is a pretty good way to do it, where if you hold it down, if you hold your finger over top of the leg while you grab the end and push it like here, that can make a bend and you're not putting any stress up here, up where the LED actually connects. That's where it tends to break. So I'm gonna just push them a little bit more parallel. You have to bend it, the better. So for that one, I only bent one side of it, the negative side of it. So I'm gonna do the same thing as before. I'm missing the camera. Negative side, oh, positive side, out. See, that's when it's hard to tell which one's which, unless you can see the inside. So I'm gonna flip that so it's facing the right way, the large piece on the top. And again, I'm gonna hold it down and hold the leg down while I grab the end and just bend it. Bend. And then you could bend the other one if you want. It's okay if they even touch, if these two leads touch, because they're both negative and both positive. They touch like that. I just wanted them to be far away from each other. So you don't want positive to touch negative. Because electricity is also lazy. It doesn't want to go anywhere if it doesn't have to. So if you give it a shortcut, it'll take that shortcut and not do your work. So that's where you want to bring it over and actually put it on your worksheet. Oh, and I was saying there, we're going to put tape over it. That's what that picture is, putting tape over everything. Take it back over here, get it all lined up, and then put the tape over it. But actually, you can even do a test of it if you just kind of hold the LEDs down with your fingers, to hold the legs down, and go ahead and test it with your battery to see if you can get them to light up. It's kind of hard because you feel like you need more than 2 hands to do it. But if they light up without you taping them down yet, you know you're in good shape. And then you can just tape them down nice and flat. The easiest thing to get mixed up here is just to make sure you have the negative legs only on this side and the positive only on that side. And honestly, if your this one wasn't working as well when I tried it today, and I just had to tape it better. Those LEDs, I had to just really push the leg down against the copper and sort of go over it with my fingernail and really get that leg down. That's how it will be.
Can you show it closer?
Yeah, so just make sure that that's the negative side.
Right.
On this, so this is all negative up here, and this is all positive down.
So we tape it and then switch it
Yeah,
on.
tape it down really nice and flat, as flat as you can. And then that way, when you go to try it, they should turn on. If they don't, it might just because they need to be really taped down. Really taped down. And sometimes it could be that you got some tape underneath. If you get any tape underneath the leg, then it's not going to be able to touch the copper tape. It needs to be on that conductive circuit. Basically, this is a weird deconstructed circle. Like, this is the positive side, LEDs. Negative side. It's still a circle, just roundabout. Just one pathway, positive and negative. But if it's not working, definitely double check your LEDs. Make sure that big part is on the top of both of them. So that big piece of metal is on this side, not that side. On the inside of the LED. It's just so easy to get them backwards. The battery has a plus side, plus on it. Make sure the plus is up. And hopefully, if we get the flap right, then when we set the front on top, it won't actually go off all the time unless we hold hands. Yay! Hurrah! Yes. And so all those places where there's like little green squares, that's where I'm gonna put the other kind of foam tape. That foam tape is just for keeping the card kind of suspended up. And I think the cards came out a little bit bigger than they should have. But basically they line up with there's little crosshairs in the corners of your worksheet. Eileen, how's it going?
It works.
Yay!
I'm so excited. You have no idea.
Oh, that's so great. That's so good. Okay, so let me show you just this part, the last part then. It's just mostly just the decoration part. Let me, oops. Oh, I gotta share my screen again. This is me coloring. I took that only because I thought the scribble technique would be good for this bird. Instead of having to draw feathers or something. I know there's an illustrator who does lots of children's books who does this scribble kind of idea. They usually layer, so I'll put like a darker blue and like a green and just do scribbles over all of it to get, and I couldn't figure out who was the illustrator, so I wanted to show you guys. I'm sure we have one in the books, but that's a way you could do it. And just scribble, 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 scribble. Oh, and then these holes, I actually had the silhouette cut the holes for us and just poke the pipe cleaner is cute, but it's also nice because it's acting like the foam tape. It helps the paper stay up off of the circuit because it gives it another little barrier. So pipe cleaner underneath the card is doing some work, which is nice. I made mine little spirals, but you could do it any way you want. Yeah, spirals. So then, that looks good. Oh, I did the tummy. See, I did two different colors. Can go forward, do that. Oh wait. So that's your full thing. Everyone's is working. So it kind of lines up with those little crosshairs in the bottom. But I think everybody's is actually a little bit big, which is okay. We'll stick out a little past that. Just try to center it. Some little things right there. And then we're gonna slip the border in. So oh, I put on the foam tape. Foam tape, foam tape. Doo-doo-doo. Once I knew I could center it, put the foam tape on. And I put one here. It seems kind of weird because it covers up part of the pattern, but it's good to have the paper like held down against the LEDs pretty close to them. because they'll be brighter if the paper is closer to the LED. So that's why I put foam tape right there between them. Because you want the paper to be nice and close to it. So I just plopped it on there, push it on with the foam. Do-do-do-do. Push it on the foam. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. Yeah. Oh, and then this is where you need scissors. So you just cut off the bottom of the card so it's more like a normal card size, even though it's still pretty big for a card. The bigger the circuit is, the easier it is to do. So I just cut the bottom off. It just sits on top. And then the borders, that's the easiest part. You just kind of slip them in, and they'll go a little bit under, which is on purpose, so you don't have any gap. So that's why I put the foam tape a little bit indented. And I just got some scrap paper and some glue stick. Ran along the border. And then just slide it in. This was my colleague Shannon's idea. She was like, it needs a border. It doesn't look finished.
Yeah, that Shannon likes some glitz and glamour.
That's true. Yep.
That's cute.
Yeah. So they all just slide in like that. And I think one of mine, they should be really nicely cut because I cut those on the silhouette also. It's nice to have the machine cut these perfectly straight things for you. Very nice. And those little holes too. I was surprised it could do those tiny holes for the pipe cleaners, but it didn't have any problem. Yeah, see, mine was a little bit too long there, so I tucked it underneath a little bit. Because I'm a crazy person.
Jessie,
Yes.
what did you use to cut the tiny pipe cleaner holes?
So we have a silhouette. It's like a cricket. You know?
Okay. Okay.
But originally, I just poked them with a pin because
Okay.
that would work. That would work too. I'd poke them with like a large, like a sewing pin, and then
Okay.
put the pipe cleaners in. But it was a little easier if the holes were a little bigger than that. So I
Right.
had our silhouette cutting machine do it, and it also cut these strips for us.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I have to go right now, unfortunately.
Oh,
But
you're great.
I learned so much, so thank you. This is great.
Yeah, of course. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you got your kit and it worked.
Yeah. Thanks again. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
You're welcome. Come next time, hopefully. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye. Yeah.
Yeah. Carol's gonna have to show us hers when she gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. That's it. That's why sort of coloring it's actually the first step anyway. But if you didn't color it yet, that's the only thing you can wait on. It's just putting it on and putting the border. And that's
Thank you.
it. Yeah, you guys got them? Yay!
Nice.
Oh, love it.
Yeah,
Wow.
nice.
Let's see. Let's stop this screen sharing. That's my problem. Stop share. There it is. Awesome, awesome. Oh, and I will show you guys, if you're curious, we're so lucky none of us ripped our tape, right? You guys, it works. It's great. But what Carol was talking about another way of joining tape together to keep it going if it rips, because you guys might want to do more of these too. But yeah, if it rips, You know, you want this tape to go all the way across the table in this situation, but say it ripped right there because it's finicky stuff. You can get a new piece, but if you just put it on top like that, it won't work, right? Because it's non-conductive side is touching the conductive one of the other, so they're not really connected at all in electronics world. They're not connected. So what you do is do that thing where you kind of fold it back the way it came, but using a whole new piece. And then I think this is what Carol was saying. Then you kind of, now you have conductive side touching. And then you want to fold them up together so they're really nice and smushed together like that. And they won't move because then you flip the new piece over top. Yeah, flip that over top. So that's what you do if you have a rip. Is you put a new piece and you just make sure that conductive side touches conductive side. And I did that here. I was playing with the flap so much that I broke it. so I did that with this one. You just put a new piece of tape going back the way the first one came. And then now you got shiny side and shiny side together. So fold those up so they'll really be stuck. And seal them in by putting the new piece over top. And because this was near my flap, I didn't even take the backing off of this. I just left it. I just taped it down. Because it's fine to have tape on the bottom part where none of the LED legs are touching. So I could put tape on here. Doesn't matter. I put tape on that. I put green tape so we can see it. Yeah, so I was good with that. Just don't want to touch this part. And honestly, I had already finished it, so it wouldn't even matter if I put tape over it now. As long as everything's still, everything's done, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. I had a little piece of the ripped one stuck there. Get rid of that. Yeah. So, and I know it works because I was trying it today a lot, and so I did this one I ripped like 4 times. And put back together like that, and it works. So, I know
You
Yeah.
like for the little leggies of the LED, you kind of made a little circle. Does that make it conduct better? It looked like you've made a little.
Yeah, sometimes I will do, like I said, because you have like jewelry pliers or like electronics pliers. It's kind of nice to do that just to help you keep track of which leg is which. Because I had them just straight because, oh wait, I see. I had them just mostly straight because it's easier for everybody because it's hard to bend the legs with your fingers. But that's another way of keeping track of which leg is which. So what I did there was I made the positive side, I made a little curl, and the negative side I made a little zigzaggy. But actually, I think it might be better for this if you don't, because then the leg tends to be like up a little bit or down a little, like it's not like perfectly zigzag, and then it won't touch the copper tape as well. So I would just do less probably and just tape it down really well. It might flicker, so leave it up. See how it kind of just leaves itself up there, and then when you want to push it down, you push it down. So hopefully the paper, the way it will lay on top, won't push it down. You'll have to actually put your own pressure on it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If it always flickers, it's always kind of touching, and you could put a little bit more something here to get it to get the copper tape to like float. It should kind of float like that above the battery.
Okay.
So that when you're not actually using it, it just kind of sits there. And then once you're ready, then you press it. So it should float. So you could always put just even a piece of cardboard will work, like a little piece of cardboard on either side, just to hold this up off the battery while it's not being used. It just lay there, but sometimes, yeah, you move it, it'll flicker, but you don't want to kill the battery. So, yeah, sometimes it does want to go off. This foam tape is thicker than this foam tape. So because of that, it should allow the paper to just hover over top and not actually push down until you actually press the button. And then put it over top. It kind of hovers there until you press it. Oh, I also will share with you the original idea for these came from a SparkFun tutorial. That link goes to the card that this one is based on, which is also really fun to make. So you guys might want to make that too. This is the SparkFun one. There's a like Valentine's one. So, and you can print out the pattern on there for free and make it. So if you want to try some more, you can do that. SparkFun is very helpful. They're great. They're really nice people, and they sell all the supplies that we were using. So, but you can get them on Amazon too.
You want to take a picture, Jesse?
You can hold it up. I'm recording this, but I won't. I'm gonna put this online, but I won't put your faces online. So.
Oh, okay.